Hello and welcome to the University of Law. In today's video I am reviewing this Doctor Who Reflections. This is a Time War box set. It is technically volume 6 in the 8th Doctor Time War saga. I must have pre-ordered it a couple of years ago, maybe 2022, as a part of a bundle with the 2023 release Cass. It's been quite a while between releases. I think that was about January 2023, was it the start of the year? And this came out October 2024, so nearly 2 years later. Although there was a similar kind of gap, maybe even longer actually, between volume 4 and 5. But it's great to have this back. October was a stellar month for Big Finish. I think this and the Quintessence were just absolutely fantastic releases. I'll be reviewing those elsewhere on the channel as well. But yeah, let me just start by saying the Eighth Doctor, I absolutely love this character, this incarnation of the Doctor. It's one of my favourites. I think as a child there was always the mystery around him, because I grew up with the Eccleston stories, and to think that, you know, what happened to that Eighth Doctor, then finding out about Big Finish and getting those back in the day, and, you know, learning more about the character. But I think instantly you realise what a great actor Paul McGann is and how well he plays this part. And, you know, seeing that live on stage recently was absolutely fantastic. What I loved about the Eighth Doctor, when they did the Dark Eyes series, they did some great runs of box sets. And I think Dark Eyes was great. It's a big epic. There was Daleks, there was the Eminence, big galactic wars, Dalek Time Controller. It was just before they got the license for the new series. So there was kind of little hints of the Time War without being explicit. Then we had the Doom Coalition 4 sets, which very much was building on the fact that they had the new series license, really building into the premonitions about the Time War. That was really exciting. That was probably my favourite of them all. Ravenous was more of a lore-based series of box sets, looking at Time Lord lore, looking at the Master especially. That was really interesting, exciting. And then Stranded did a completely different thing, which was to do a real kind of timey-wimey. I loved the restrictions they placed on the Doctor and how they really used that to tell a really compelling story. So there's been some great arcs. However, for me, my favourite arcs were those earliest ones. It was the Dark Eyes and the Doom Coalition, especially Doom Coalition. I thought that was just explosive, and McGann was on fire, and the stories, and there was something about kind of storytelling where you know what happens next. So storytelling where you know the Doctor's future, and that's a part of the story. That there's a kind of time where you know the Doctor's destiny and he doesn't. And I really enjoyed that element of Doom Coalition. Now, I loved Ravenous and I loved Stranded that came later, and I know why they did it, because you can't just keep doing these big epic series like that. You know, you have to vary things and do different things, and there is some lovely work on it. But obviously enough time has passed now that this is very much, for me, one of my favourite box sets since kind of Doom Coalition 3 and 4. Probably one of the closest to it was Time War 4. I thought that was really good. There were some lovely scenes in the finale to that, which kind of looked at the Doctor's destiny, the Doctor's future. But we have it here. This is just a wonderful story. It's called Reflections, and it really does bring everything together. It brings sort of classic and new colliding, which kind of was what the Eighth Doctor is. He's a collision of the old and the new, isn't he? Now, interesting, it says Reflections on here. I'm sure the website says Reflections 1. They haven't announced Reflections 2 yet, but there's definitely going to be more box sets. There's a cliffhanger. I'll keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but I may need to give some spoilers at some point to help with my review. So I'm just going to get the cellophane off the box set now. But yeah, as I say, I've really enjoyed all of the Time War 8th Doctor sets, especially the sets that kind of came from 3 onwards. So yeah, one of the standouts of set 5 was the inclusion of Cass, which was a really fun inclusion. But I think the production team, as well as us as fans, just knew instantly that this TARDIS team of 8th Doctor, Alex and Cass was just one of the strongest the 8th Doctor's ever had. He's had some great teams around him, but I think that's another thing. It's the energy. The 8th Doctor always works best, I think, in a 3. I think, as we know with Charlie, he becomes very emotionally invested, and I think when you suddenly have 3, the other 2 companions tend to have a relationship which leaves, because they're both human, they've got more in common, and it leaves the Doctor more on the outside. I think that's an interesting place for the 8th Doctor to be, someone who is so human in so many ways. I think having him in a group of 3 means he is kind of the outsider. There's some, I mean, that's really what this set is about, how the Doctor is different, and obviously how Alex isn't really Time Lord. He's only an eighth Time Lord. He's mainly human. He only has one life, and how does that change him? We look at Cass. We kind of, there's some little hints. This is my theory now. There are kind of splinters, and look at the multiverse, which was kind of brought in during Time War 4. I think it is setting up Night of the Doctor and how that is the ultimate true timeline, and that's what we're heading for. And it could add a next level of tragedy, I think, when we watch Night of the Doctor. I think, in the same way that he doesn't remember who Bliss is, I think he generally doesn't know who Cass is. Or maybe he does and he can't say. I think a little bit like they're saying with Andor at the moment. When you watch Andor Season 2 for Star Wars, when you watch Rogue One, it'll be a different film. I think by the time we finish this Time War saga, I think Night of the Doctor will be something different. Watching it back will be something completely different. And that's really exciting. We've got a character, I've forgotten the name now, I think the surname is Friend, who was played in the last set by the actor of Audacity, and is now played by the actor of Carries and Helen, which is really exciting, because it's obviously this character is taking on the different faces of the Eighth Doctor's companions. I know they can't do Grace as a character because of the licensing, but I know they have brought Daphne Ashbrook back in the past to play other characters. Maybe she might make a comeback in one of these. Who knows? That's another prediction I'm making here. So it's a really strong set of stories, lovely timey-wimey stories, a lovely set, really cohesive, lots of exciting random multiversal things happening. It was a really, despite being audio, it was very visual, which you can see on the front cover, a very visual set. And actually one of the standout things for me actually was the performance of Conrad Westmus. Obviously, we used to playing Carries. He did a really stellar performance. They all did. It was just a really strong set, and I just cannot wait for Reflections 2. But yeah, let's just get it open, have a quick look at the discs, and then I'll wrap up the review. I don't want to say too much, only that it's... I know we've got 2 months left of the year. I think this is definitely, for me, going to be my release of the year. We've got 2 months for that to be overturned, but I can't see it myself. So we've got disc 1, Nowhere Never, which is a play on words from the finale to the last set. There we've got the first 4 Time War sets. We got a little booklet, photographs. We have got synopsis, crew list. A little hint about something that might be happening. I'll give you a spoiler alert now. Very exciting cliffhanger. We've got Centaurans who seem to be from the multiverse, and they seem to be Centaurans from a timeline where they managed to successfully invade Gallifrey, an invasion of time. Very exciting. We've got The Road Untravelled by Tim Foley on disc 2. Cascade by James Moran. He did some great stories in the last set, and of course wrote for the 10th Doctor on television. And then Borrow or Rob by Tim Foley, and it very much is about Borrow or Rob, looking back at the Doctor, who did he borrow or rob the TARDIS? But actually, more importantly than that, is this prophecy about him, or is it about someone close to him with a parallel life, which is similar but different? Looking at the whole idea with families as a clue for you. Families that you may have a similar life, but it goes in a different direction. Last thing, actually, probably, I think we're definitely heading for a reunion with Susan. I know a splinter of Alex or a ghost of Alex was kind of seen in the latest Susan's War. We've got the next Susan set coming out in the spring. I'm wondering if that might be set between these 2 sets, maybe, or maybe it's another War Doctor set. I'm not sure. I think they're certainly setting up Susan to be involved somehow. There's a great gag where I think it was like Bob's your uncle and Susan's my mother, I know. So it was a nice little reference back to, I think it was the first time they properly referenced Susan being his mother, you know, in these Time War sets. But yeah, that was my thoughts. What did you think of Reflections? Do let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts and hopes for the future of the 8th Doctor Time War range? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look forward to speaking to you soon.